And we are live at the Pirate Broadcast this morning. And today is another day to interview interesting people doing interesting things. And I have none other than Kenyatta Turner, who I've actually been friends with for a little bit. So, and some of you may know her as being one of these innovative, personable individuals that just loves to do challenges. And and I love her dearly. So Kenyatta, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Russ, Johns. I'm happy to be here on the Pirate Broadcast with you. This is so fun. Thanks for having me. It's gonna be awesome.
It's so nice to have you finally join me on the Pirate Broadcast, and I love the fact that you're here. And some of the things that we've talked about over the time, a secret of Kenyatta's is she's actually a bass player and I'm a drummer. So we had this like mutual understanding in the rhythm section, and it was just awesome when we found out and discovered that we were musicians.
Absolutely.
And now Kenyatta's been doing some amazing things. She's actually been helping Karen, and you have been doing the LinkedIn Local here for a while now, haven't you?
We have. Gosh, I think maybe April, was the first time that we had it together, where I joined her as a co-host. And we once every month we did it a little bit, and then we kind of scaled back to once every 6 weeks to do the event. So it's been a lot of fun. LinkedIn Local, if you haven't been to one, get to one. And it's just a great chance to get together. And that's where you and I met, at the LinkedIn Local, before I was hosting it with her.
Yeah, we've been to a couple of different events, together and going back and forth, and been connected and been on Zoom sessions and things like that.
Yeah.
Karen Joseph is an awesome networker. She's an individual that just really is a powerhouse here locally in Arizona. So if you don't know Karen Joseph, connect with Karen, and she's an amazing individual. And you've also been doing, I attended a couple of your events because you've been doing Legal Shield and helping people out in their legal challenges and any kind of anything like that. And you've been an educator for years, and you're such a impact in the front of the room. And I just love the way you present and the way you deliver information. And now you're actually talking about behavior and some of the things behind, the stuff behind what we do. So talk about this adventure and what you're doing with behavior, because I want to bring this up, and I just want to highlight you on if you don't know Kenyatta, connect with her on LinkedIn, because she's an amazing individual and she's just very, very, very cool. And you want to be connected with her. So I'm just I'm going to bring up LinkedIn on my phone so I can actually read some of the comments. And then but start talking about your behavioral thing. Then I'll bring that up next.
Fun. So behavioral superpower. And I love that's what we call them. We just find that we know that everybody wants to be different and unique, but we also want to fit in. We want to be understood, but then we want to be mysterious. We have these things about us as humans that make us all extremely, unique, but there's lots of similarities as well. But the one thing that we know that, performance and communication can be affected negatively when people do not know how to communicate. And oftentimes we don't know how exactly to communicate. We don't know how to say exactly what we want. People cannot always understand what we're thinking and why we act the way we act. And sometimes people could take that personal because they don't really understand that's just you and that's just how you're going to roll. So we found through 30 years of research with our behavioral science unit and some resource partners that I use with DNA behavior, that there is a way to have someone take what we call a discovery exercise that will basically tell them what their behavioral superpowers are. And because it isn't just one, there's several. They're like fingerprints, that we have that make us unique. And those are the things that indicate how we naturally would behave and respond when we're communicating, how we make decisions, what our financial temperament is, how we view the world, how we view workplace and organization. And through that, once I know I identified that for myself, I was like, oh, so that is why I tend to do these certain things that ultimately are unique to me and can absolutely be powers for me because I'm extremely strong in certain areas, but they could be my kryptonite.
Yeah.
Unmanaged behaviors can cause challenges. But when you know that about the people you're working with, teams, classroom management, whatever, it literally breaks down the barriers to communication and you can just get to work. So that's what I've been doing, behavioral coaching and consulting with this platform and some other resources that I have in my teams. And I just weave it into everything that I do with my class and my coaching and my legal shield and all of it. It just works because it starts with who we are. So.
Right. Well, the thing that was fascinating for me, and it has been fascinating for me, and the psychology of work and team building is that if you can identify the strengths of the individuals on your team and then keep them in their genius zone and augment their weaknesses with other people, it just seems to just develop the culture and the performance of the team. I mean, 10x. And this is tool that was fascinating to me because, it wasn't painful. It was a short, summary to go through and survey. And a lot of the questions, it was like, okay, they were very similar. And like some of the answers were like, well, I do all of those. I don't know if it's more or less. I don't, so I had to pick what I first felt. And that was the thing. It was like my intuition. And, 20 years ago, I may have answered this slightly different because of my life circumstance and experience. So when you're taking a snapshot of where you are right now, is that that's a good indicator that you have some superpowers that are coming out or have been developed over time, I would imagine.
Absolutely, because even if when you take it right now, it is giving you a snapshot. You want to answer the questions how you feel right now, not how you felt in the past or what you aspire to be. But the way that the questions are designed, which is so fabulous, is that it's going to tell you what your results are over the long term. So if you were to take this 10 years ago or 10 years, in the future, it'd pretty much be the same. Most of what it's going to be measuring is what we call beneath the iceberg, right? Most of the iceberg is beneath the water. And that's what your natural behavioral style is. The part above the water, 5% is learned behavior. So obviously you're going to learn things along the way, how you grew up and what kind of books you read and TV you watch and things you study, and also that situational awareness. You'll make adjustments in the moment just based on what you learn. But most of what you're doing is your natural tendencies in fight or flight. When you're stressed, how do you respond in that moment? And that's what this is going to do. And the way that questions are asked pulls that out of you. And that's why sometimes you're like, well, I'm all of these. But if you trust your gut, well, that's what your gut would do in a situation of anxiety or fear or anything like that, or stress, right?
Right.
That works.
Well, we're naturally going to get in tune with who we are at a unstressed situation. It's like, okay, there's going to be certain ways we react in communities, like going out networking or going to work or in traffic or anything like this. And then also recognizing the fact that you understand why you're feeling that way, I think is a huge opportunity to learn about yourself. So I want to take a moment, Kenyatta, and Maureen Wixom, she's here. Lori, thank you so much. Rachel Beck, Sherry Lawley, she's awesome.
Save me a seat, Sherry. Thank you.
She's in front of 3 devices so she doesn't miss it. So she's fantastic. Lewis, thanks for joining us this morning. Vicki O'Neill, you are awesome always. She's been a pirate. She's a pirate as well. Angie, you're good morning. Love you. Joshua from Texas. Yeah, Joshua is here. Nick Norman, fantastic. Thank you for being here. Troy and Kathy. All of these individuals are I really appreciate and have all the gratitude in the world. And the reason we have the pirate broadcast is because it's something that is important to me and I'm passionate about. And I'll bring up my report here Kenyatta, and we can kind of talk about why it's passionate to me, why I'm passionate about it, and how this report reflects my personality, and we'll dive into your personality and talk about your DNA as well. But the reality is, folks, we all have a gift. We all have a message, and we all have an opportunity to share it or support someone else that's sharing their message or supporting others around us. I just believe in it, and I just want to highlight this and thank everyone for being here. And it's fantastic that you're here. And if you watch it on the replay, thank you again. I really do appreciate that. So I want to talk about the report itself and dive into what some of these things mean in cause and effect, like we talked about in traffic, or you're in the shopping mall, or networking, or something like that. And what does that look like? Because let me bring mine up here and then roll. So this
John, a community builder.
Yeah, a community builder. Does that make sense? Anybody relate to that? I mean,
right. Like, you know who else is a community builder? Karen Joseph. Did you believe that? Yes, way. Of course, Karen Joseph is a community builder. Right? Yeah, I love it. I don't know how big it looks very well, so I can see it though.
You can see it okay?
I don't know. It looks like people can probably see it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments say, can you see that?
The reality is so my top talents based on my 8-factor scores, and your 2 strongest scores and traits are content, content,
and creative.
I'm easygoing, satisfied, uncomplaining. So does anyone agree with that?
Yeah, they would. Well, let me show you first real quick, because people haven't seen this before, right? So let me just state for those who haven't seen this information that there are 10 superpowers, okay? 10 different profiles, and I am an influencer, and Russ is a community builder, okay? And he'll probably scroll down a little more and you can see the rest of them, but that's where he starts at. And all community builders, now while you're not all the same, you are actually unique 1 in 4 trillion. That's what this data will show you with the 200 different personality points that this measures. And there are certain things that are very unique to you, Russ, like the fingerprints we talk about, which are like your content and creative. So Karen's, is a community builder, but her top talents are probably different than yours. And even if they were, those radio buttons is where it really starts dialing in the uniqueness.
Let me turn this off so we can see this a little bit better. Is that better?
Okay, nice. Yep. Because now it looks like you can see most of the report.
Yeah.
So after measuring those factors, your top 2 are content and creative, whereas mine are outgoing and fast-paced. And would you agree that maybe I'm a little outgoing, probably fast-paced? Right.
Yeah, I'm not as outgoing as some people believe I am, because I'm more of an ambivert when it comes to networking. I don't gather a lot of energy in a network. However, I do love building communities. So
yeah, of course, and that would make sense. So as you're looking at that, right? We say community builders excel at meeting people, promoting cooperation among group of people. That's what you do. That's what you're doing right now. Their inclination is to help and support others carry out an activity or transaction. They're attentive to both people and tasks and influence others through empathy and supportiveness. And anyone who knows Russ would know that is, I think, is a true statement. Once convinced of a course of action, they'll encourage others, operate diligently, and collaborate to achieve the goal. And they seek supportive relationships that are appreciative and empathic towards one another. So that's all community builders. And Russ, yes, that is you.
So when I totally agree with that. Joshua, interesting. Where did you get the work talents report? How do I find the resource? Okay, so Sherry, we'll be sharing that. We'll be sharing that out. So we'll get that. We'll get that information to you.
Absolutely.
And you can also, here's the best way to do it. Connect with Kenyatta on LinkedIn, send her a DM, and then have her work through this report with you. So that's the best
absolutely.
way.
Yeah, and anyone can go to simply, now to tell you, dreamsmartacademy.com/superpowers. You can go there and take your own discovery exercise if you're interested.
Say that again.
Oh, DreamSmart, or DreamSmartAcademy.com.
DreamSmartAcademy.com
Superpowers.
/superpowers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can go there and it'll give you the different opportunities to take the discovery exercise, and you can get your own report and then have an uncovering session. We call it uncovering session with me, and I'll explain to you how it works and how to use it. But Russ, this is so great because you know, content and creative, easygoing, satisfied, uncomplaining, but you're extremely creative. But here's that section that I love, that this is really powerful, where it says how others can connect and manage your talents. Now, this is one of probably 40 different reports that can come out of that one exercise that you did. So this is your summary, right? But when it looks at how others can manage you, this is important because you can let people know, if they haven't already figured out, that this is where you're going to be in your happy place. If you're in an environment that focuses on your life balance needs, that keeps the conversation easygoing, you want directions to move.
I was going to say, because this is exactly the piece that if you know individuals' superpowers and where their genius zone is, where their comfort zone is, when they're optimized, right? This is what it is. Okay.
Absolutely. Gives you directions to move forward. And because you're creative, people need to expect and encourage your out of the box thinking and encourage you to brainstorm, because that, again, is where you're going to do the best. So if they're in a situation where they're stifling you from doing these things or aren't providing you with the opportunity, you can still do the job, function, make it happen. I call that square peg round holing it, though. You can still do it.
I like that. Say that again. Square peg round holing.
Square peg round holing it. Yeah, you can make a square peg go into a round hole. But is that going to be pretty painful? Yes.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have to do that. So how do we
have
put
you
people
do
in
your
the zone?
accounting? That's all I got to say.
Right. So how do we put people in that zone, that genius zone, like you said? You know, so it's by doing those things, and so that's important. And there's so much more information that goes into that, but at a high level, there that is. Now, if you look at mine, you know, I'm outgoing, fast paced.
Let me bring yours up. Let's bring yours up and compare.
Okay. Yeah. Because for me, you need to remember my need for fun and excitement, invest time in building a relationship, tell me who's involved. I always want to know who's going to be there. Okay. I am always interested in that. Anticipate my immediate responses and quick fixes. And you need to move and speak at a quick pace. If people aren't doing that, like with me, like, yeah, I can deal with it and we can roll, but I'm much more excited if things are moving quickly and there's a lot of stuff happening. I'm like a fireball. So that's the environment that's best for me. And if you're working with me, then that's how I roll.
Yeah. You know? Well, you know, it's funny because we've talked about on the Pirate Broadcast before about individuals. I mean, even, you know, scarcity versus abundance, and people doing the same thing, like coaches. You know, there's probably a dozen coaches that could help me. However, the best coach that can help me is the one that understands my superpowers and also is in alignment with who I work best with for their superpowers, right?
Yes, exactly. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'll speak to that for a second. So one, this is the first part of my coaching process, obviously, you know, because I need to know who you are, and I give you my report so you know who I am. So you know I'm going to behave this way, but I can learn about you so quickly and instantly bring down those barriers to communication. And now I can actually help you because we have full coaching packages around this information for all areas of life. So, you know, finances, like I mentioned earlier, or communication, or dealing with family, or, you know, goal setting, team performance, you know, hiring, all of that. But then another piece about it is that if we both know that about each other, we can just work well together. But a lot of this has been used, and actually pretty much was designed to be used to help people with wealth management, teaching them about their financial temperament and being able to match a client, you know, who is dealing with a financial advisor with the right advisor. Because if a certain person has an idea about how they feel about money and have a certain aversion to risk and how they want to do things, you might match them with an advisor that's just not a good match of superpowers in that moment, and that would cause relational friction. Well, we have companies that use this that friction melts away. There is no friction because they know exactly who they're dealing with and they're getting matched with the right client. So it's used that way in a lot of applications and organizations.
Oh, absolutely. Now, how would this compare with Myers-Briggs and some of the other,
Great question.
personality type environments? Is this supporting? Is it complementing? Is it in addition to, or is it something?
I would say that it's supporting and it's enhancing. All of those platforms have something to offer, and I've taken many of them. I'm sure as you as well, and a lot of people probably listening. And it's so fascinating, that information where you take a look at it and you're like, wow, that really makes sense. A couple of things that are different is this is consistent over the long term. Yeah. There's about a 91% predictivity or predictability that this is how people are going to behave over the long term. So the way the questions are asked really gives that information. It's offered in several different languages in several different countries. It's used all over the place. So community builder here is the same as the community builder in Egypt. And so it's consistent, but it's not just measuring strength. And I think that's a key thing that I learned as I was going through this information. I've done hundreds of these with people, is that where, for instance, you look at my report and it says results versus relationships, and it says that I'm 93, and that's 93% higher than the people who've taken this assessment, this exercise over the time in the last 30 years, right? You are 82 on relationships. So if you look at those two dichotomies, relationships versus results, doesn't mean, I don't build relationships, and doesn't mean you don't get results.
And this report is not a good and bad. It's not like a test. It's not.
Nope.
It's just a snapshot of your round hole and your effectiveness in your genius zone, right?
Yes, exactly.
I want to make sure that we highlight that, because everybody has their gift, right? And this is kind of part of that, and how they can actually find their gift, possibly, right?
Right. How they can find it, because it's going to tell you right there, I'm someone who's very results focused, and it could be a good thing in the right scenario, right? Or it could be the bad thing if it's a time where I need to be more focused on the relationship. So the idea is that if your score is anywhere above like a 50 or 60 in a particular area, that's really hard ingrained, and that's really how you're going to respond pretty much most of the time. Yeah. But the idea is situational awareness. So in the moment, I know that I might be naturally focused on one particular area where I might need to have more of a counterbalance in that particular scenario if I'm aware of this information. And it's happens every day to me, actually, because I'm so used to looking at this information. So, I'm extremely flexible. There's times when I need to be more systematic. I'm extremely abstract and out of the box thinker. There is no box in my world at all, but that's not always the best scenario, right? So it really is not so much strength or weakness all the time, but being aware of what you're naturally going to do and understanding that could be a kryptonite for you. Like I think about Hulk, right? Hulk, what does Hulk do? Hulk smashes. That's his superpower, right? But is that always applicable? No.
Right. Sometimes you need delicate balance, and you need to be politically correct and things like that. So
a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, but this is really powerful. And Kenyatta, I think that this is something that people, and we've had a lot of different people on the, with Kristen Sherry with the UMAP and Steve Sullivan and Lori Knudsen. These are all of these people coming together. I mean, this is like a snapshot and understanding who we are and why we operate the way we do. And, our personalities, our innate ability to understand our circumstance around us, and also understand why we're feeling what we're feeling in the moment. So like people that get really frustrated in traffic are probably very, they're hard driving. They're like people like yourself that are just like, I need to get there now. I need this some stimulation here, because it's like I'm bored and I'm getting it's like I don't want to do this.
And that's what I've learned to meditate. That's when I learned to meditate. Meditation saves my life.
That's a perfect example. It's like once you understand who you are and why you react this way, and then you can take measures, or you can do things where you want to improve and broaden your view on the world, right?
Right. And I found this through, using this information, how much it's helped me, find those counterbalances, and what do I need? Where does my learned behavior need to be even more effective than I am? And for me, it's something like, the systematic piece. That's why I read the 12-week year. That's why I follow, that type of execution style. That's what, I love certain, books and things that teach me and coach me and personal development. And I teach that as well. And what I found, because I have a mastermind that I do where it all starts with the behavioral superpower. And then we do different things to learn how to capitalize on that information so that we can do what we're capable of. And it's helped me. And so therefore I know I'm morally obligated to teach others to do the same thing. And so through behavioral mastermind that I do, workshops, workforce development, I've done this with teams, women in leadership, team performance. I'm just looking at a couple of things I want to make sure I mention. In my classroom at Real Salato, if you are a teacher or any sort of trainer, just imagine, okay, if every single student knew their superpower and they knew yours, how you could manage that classroom. I've done it, so I know that it's a game changer because we can just get to work, and the students are like, okay, this is me, because then you don't have to apologize for those things that make you so unique, and no one takes it personal. We just understand that's how we are. We even have a charter school that we're starting here in Arizona, that this is pretty much the foundation. All the students will know theirs, all the faculty, everything. Certifications for people who want to use this in their coaching practices, who want to be a behavioral coach. It's just the superpower movement, is coming. So you're going to hear more about it.
I think there's in my circle of understanding is there's a lot of people that are craving a better understanding of why they're feeling the way they're feeling. I think social media, and the comparison, the comparison model of, it's like, okay, I'm not doing what I need to do because I'm not hustling every day. I'm done doing. And it's like, everyone is unique. Everyone is an individual. Don't compare yourself to someone else because they don't have your experience. And I was writing an article, not an article, a response to a post the other day. And it was, what came to mind was, even if you're experiencing the same thing, say for instance, we went to a concert together, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would have a different experience than I have, only because of what you see and perceive. Right. And that's the value and the benefit of being unique, is because even if we're delivered the same information, our perception of that reality is going to be different.
Absolutely.
Because of our DNA and our behavioral elements in everything that we're doing and who we are. Right. We're all unique. Right. So just grab a hold of that unique individual that you are and do what you need to do in order to be who you are. So
absolutely. And I think the other component of that is regardless of what your superpower is, the behavioral style, this information is it doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your birth order, doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter. Like all these things, it's across the board. Like none of that matters when it comes to this. It's not like a man versus a woman is going to be an influencer versus this. It's nothing to do with that. But what's interesting is, even though you know that information, you have these natural talents, if you don't establish good habits to go along with it, then it doesn't just automatically make you amazing, right? Yeah. Like you can have these things where you need to establish like good habits and practices in order to fine tune and hone, because some of the things on your profile could actually hold you back.
Yeah.
If you don't figure out a way to counteract those.
That's what Lori Knudsen was saying. All strengths have barriers when we overuse them.
Absolutely.
So, don't understand that everything in what's the word I'm trying to find? I want to find the word, if you overuse things and you just wear it out and that's one of my, there's a word I'm looking for. I'll find it.
Come to it.
But the reality is that knowing the weaknesses of every strength are also a benefit, right?
Right.
Because
of
kryptonite.
The strength is the kryptonite. That's what I have to call it. It's because if the strength is unmanaged, it will become a struggle for you.
Yeah. And Terry Bean says he loves people that move quickly. Arcot says hi. And observations and focus would be different. Our observations, paralysis of analysis. Yes, Sherry, yeah, analysis paralysis, and all of that stuff. We really have a lot to learn, Kenyatta, and I just really appreciate you being here. And I love the fact that we finally connected. And one of the things that my schedule has been out of town and traveling and things like that, so I haven't made it to LinkedIn Local, but I love you guys, and I love the LinkedIn community, and I love the fact that we're connected. And I truly appreciate you bringing this to the table today. And I know if anybody has any questions, Jennifer, thank you so much. Good morning. If you have any questions, connect with Kenyatta. She's here every single day, on LinkedIn. I see you bouncing around. So,
I love it. LinkedIn is magical.
Oh, it's magical. It's totally magical. And in fact, she's also, we stream live on YouTube and also Facebook. So this show will be up probably today on russjohns.com. So we'll be able to go ahead. Oh, I didn't put the ticker up today. You'll check this out. Where can you find me?
Look at that. Yeah.
You can find me at the Pirate Broadcast. Just search the Pirate Broadcast on all social channels and at russjohns.com. So
that ticker is cool. That's so Jetsons. I love that.
Well, Russ, my DNA includes creativity, right?
So yes, right. Me too. I think we're like almost the same on our abstract. Yeah. We're like stuff like this shiny thing. We're like, hey, that's cool. But before we go real quick, I gotta just say hello to a couple people that have been helping me put all this together, and my team that I work with. I've got to say, like, what's up? I don't know if they're watching or not, but I just need to make sure that Jeff Morris and Dr. Spencer, Leon Morales at DNA Behavior. Our team is working on the charter school, Dr. Barbara Duncan and Jen Mitchell, Dr. Ann Hart, Dr. Eddie Tiggs, the Honorable Frank Riggs, Terry Hawkins, Dr. Susan Tapper, Ryan Scott, and Frank Crump. Those are just some names I need to throw out there and say, what's up, guys? Because I love you. This is amazing what we're doing. And I'm just so super excited to be working with all of you. So, and of course, my LinkedIn fam, like everybody else. But, I just had to shout out a few people that I love. Awesome. And you too, Russ. This is fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This has been the Pirate Broadcast, and I just really appreciate all the gratitude in the world for you being here, Kenyatta, and everyone in the room, everyone that showed up in the stream. And if you're watching the replay, just hashtag replay. And if you ever have any questions, if you have questions about how things are done or what it takes to do your own stream, I'm putting a workshop together this weekend to help people with their video strategy. So if you want any information on that, reach out to me, DM me, and let's connect over that. Kenyatta,
it's great that with the workshop that you're doing. Hey, listen to him about the workshop. I just want to say that's good stuff.
Well, you know me, I'm more than happy to offer suggestions and assistance and help in certain ways, and where I can offer value. So it's always,
we love that.
Always
love that. And then just before I forget, because I need to say it again, make sure, I know some of you probably are interested in your own profile, and then that's dreamsmartacademy.com/superpowers if you're interested in learning more about how you can figure out what your superpower is. So I'm throw that in there. Thanks, Russ.
Well, thank you so much. And you know that kindness is cool, smiles are free, cool. And you enjoy the day.
And Russ is cool. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, that's cool.